Hey, what's up, brother? How you doing today? I hope you're doing all right. I'm just looking at my webcam over there. It's over here. So, how you doing okay, Bubba? I hope you're having a very good Thursday. Cheers. So, Barry, do you remember this video here? The video where you call your mom a whore? You say your mom and dad didn't love each other? That your dad was a piece of shit? Since you can't pay your own parents respect, I'm gonna pay them respect. I'm getting ready to prove how much your father loved your mother. You piece of shit. Because I would never, ever call my mom a whore. I would never, ever call my grandmother a whore. I wouldn't call any of the women in my life a whore. Whether it be the mother of my child, whether it be fucking Joe Blow down the road, whether it be, no, you don't do that. You don't do that. Women are sacred creatures. Women are awesome, buddy. You came from this woman, but yet you do her like this.
Hey, he's the one that stole the family fortune. He's the one that stole from his mother.
Ah, no, we're not doing that. No. You are the one that has the charge on your record. You're the one that I have court documentation proving that you were not only charged, you pled guilty to stealing from your mother's estate. I have documentation proving that, Barry, and anybody can go look that up, buddy. It's public record. So, let's keep going.
He's the one that stole. People are still trying to say it was me. No,
No.
no, no, no.
Does Matt have charges of theft from stealing from his mom's estate? Did Matt plead guilty to stealing from his mom's estate? No, they didn't. Your parents didn't trust you with their estate. They trusted Matt and Jody with their estate because Matt and Jody actually know what it's like to be a responsible fucking adult, and you never do. That's why you didn't raise your son. That's why you didn't raise your daughter. That's why you don't know your grandkids because you don't know what it's like to be an adult. You are a 63-year-old man child, brother.
He changed the will, so he's cheated his.
No, you can't change the will. There was other grandkids. If that was the case, you would have contested it. But no, did you contest it? No, you signed that little piece of paper, you and Ryan, and took your little bullshit money that you got. Because don't let Barry's trying to fool y'all that he didn't get nothing. Barry and Ryan both got a check. They both had to sign and say that that will was legit. If Barry had all this to prove and to back it up, and it was all what Barry's saying is true, Barry would have fought it. But that's not the case because Barry's a fucking liar. He's a fucking piece of shit. He's a pedo. He he is not only a pedo, he fucking hangs around with baby killers, Scott Wilson, Bethel Isle, and Dead Man, who he used to play with, who is a lifetime registered sex offender on the registry since 20 fucking 12. Bryce Scott's his name, Cincinnati, Ohio. Look him up on Watchdog. Barry's words was he's a reformed pedophile. He did his time.
Actually his own nephews out of millions of dollars. He cheated his own nephew. The will.
So your son was supposed to get everything. Your son was supposed to get the. There's like 30 other grandkids. They already fucking had to raise Ryan. Jesus fucking Jesus. Lord help me.
Was done. It was written by my mother. My father had really he had dementia. He had something they called sundowners, but it was dementia is what he had. So
Barry, I wouldn't wish most things on most people. But you know what I am gonna wish? I hope you get sundowners. Cause you don't know what the fuck that means. I hope you get dementia, you old fucker. Oh, before you say something, it runs in my family. Hence why I have a certain somebody's name tattooed on my arm. That way, when I am old, I still don't forget what they meant to me, buddy. And I'm working on getting somebody else's feet tattooed on this arm, buddy. So before you, oh, and the feet are my child's feet, but or baby feet. But that's besides the point, Barry. Do you know how ashamed your mother is of you? Like, let's just take 5 seconds to talk about that. Can we? Can we both take 5 seconds? So your mother was a school principal slash teacher for her entirety of her life. She loved kids, not the way you love kids, the way a parent or a normal person should love a child, not Barry Beamer's sick, sadistic pedo ways. How do you think your mother would feel about you being friends with somebody like Scott Wilson who shook a baby? How do you think your mother would feel about you being friends with a pedophile and then saying, "Well, he's a reformed pedophile. He's done his time and got out." Buddy, I have said it once and I'm going to say it again. I would not want to be you on the night that you die and you go to heaven because your dad's already knocked the shit out of you in this life. And I have a feeling for calling him all this shit you're about to spew, he is going to beat the ever loving tar out of you and Ryan because Ryan should have enough respect for these people not to let you talk about them like this. I'd be damned if I would let my father, somebody I love and cherish, talk bad about my grandparents. He would never would, but me and him, I would at least get my ass kicked because we're going at it. Listen, Barry, something you don't understand, something that I truly believe: loyalty above all else. I don't give a fuck if you're my flesh and blood or if you're not. If you're loyal to me 100,000%, you've been there through everything, then you be loyal to me. For instance, let's talk about my grandfather, the man I call grandpa. It's technically my step grandpa. He is not, but he has been there 10 times more than my biological grandfather ever has. When my mom died, guess who was there? Him. At my lowest, guess who's there? Him. He's always, I would take a bullet for that man. Loyalty above us, because he didn't have to be my grandpa. He didn't have to step up and be my grandpa and be there for me. He chose to. And to me, he's not my step grandpa. He's my grandpa. Blood means nothing. Loyalty means something. And for Ryan especially, them people raised him. He should owe more loyalty to them than he does you, who left him. What kind of man just leaves his air quotes, because this is what you like to say, his disabled son with his parents to raise? What kind of man does that? What kind of man doesn't fight for his kids? Fight to see him, fight to have rights to him, anything like that. What kind of man doesn't do that? Barry Beamer. And it shows. You didn't want Ryan until Ryan was able to pay your bills, till Ryan was able to do something for you. You didn't want to raise him, teach him how to ride a bike, you know, take him to his first day at school, be there when a girl breaks his heart, doing the things a parent do. Teach him how to drive a car. Milestones, seeing his first words, seeing his first steps. Milestones. You didn't want that. Ryan, you're a piece of shit in my book, buddy. You're a fucking loser. You really, really need to take a hard look in the mirror. You letting your sperm donor talk about your mom and dad like this.
And I think he had Parkinson's too. But anyways, my dad didn't know where he was coming or going. He didn't know what he was doing half the time.
No, but he made sure to tell Matt to have your bitch ass locked up, didn't he? You were a failure to him, Barry. You were a stain on his name, bro. Do you know how shitty of a person you have to be for your fucking father? Which he's not your father. The other guy is that you're going to talk about here in a minute. That's your actual father, Barry. But I digress there. Ronald Beamer raised you, so we're going to talk about that. Do you know how big of a stain you have to be for a father to be like, man, I am so disappointed in this kid. Man, wow. I'm sure he loved you because you were his son, but you were a disappointment. You were a major disappointment. Matt, Jody lived up to his expectations. Hence why I have pictures of your dad, Matt, standing at the Kiwanis with your dad having the most proud, fatherly look on his face as he's shaking Matt's hand in that picture. You don't have none of the pictures, Barry, because you were a stain on this man. Did this man ever come downstairs and knock the fuck out of Matt or your older brother? No, but you know what he did? He came down and knocked the fuck out of you because you didn't want to go to work, because you want to lay on his fucking on the mattress on the floor in his basement, buddy. Real talk. Since you won't pay these people respect, I will, because I view Matt as I'm more of a brother to Matt, and Matt's more of a brother to me than you are to him, bro. And I owe this duty to Matt and Jody both to point out how much your father actually loved your mom.
When he was told that my brother and my sister was throwing all his personal artifacts out of the house and into the trash,
How much he lived for your mother.
he told
Okay, I'm glad Barry brought that up. Throwing stuff away. This man is in a nursing home. In a nursing home, he has a heart condition. Barry says he has issues, other issues, which I'll find out if that's true. I don't know if his dad really did have dementia or not, but I know his dad had a heart issue. Instead of Barry going there and being a son and going and just, talking with him, reminiscing, hey, Dad, do you remember back in 1963 when we did this together? Do you remember those times? Barry went there to hype his dad up and make his dad aggravated with a heart condition about bullshit because Barry's just over there just running this fucking cocksucker about shit that his dad don't care about. His dad's dying. Why does his dad care about fucking tax papers from 1962? His dad's on the verge of death. And in return, what Barry's not going to mention here is he was banned from the nursing home. He was banned from coming and seeing his father at the end because of this. Because just like the pumpkin run, Barry don't know how to conduct himself. Barry don't know how to act. Barry no good in life situations. Barry manchild. Barry work on pure emotions and nothing else. And it's fucked him his whole life. And it's going to continue to fuck him until the day that for the next 10 years that he has on this planet.
me and he told my
I have a video that I'm going to do tonight on live from Barrow's Garage. I'm glad you mentioned that, Barry. Where you fucking mentioned that you have a mass on the brain. That's twice you mentioned it. Nothing since then. Don't got no scars, nothing like that they've checked. You lied about having cancer, having a tumor. But you're a good dude. Good people don't have to brag about being good. Their actions show they're a good person. Bad people have to brag about being good because their actions don't prove that. There's an old saying that I personally love. Actions speak louder than words. You can tell me that the fucking sun is fucking pink and it really be yellow. You can tell me that you love me, but if your actions don't show you love me, then I'm bye. If your actions show to me that you're gonna backstab me and hurt me, then bye, bro. Your actions in life, Barry, your whole fucking life, speak to your character. That one live stream where you're begging Jed for money, begging 2X to get you a GoFundMe. For what? Because you didn't go anyways. But yeah, you had $2,000 in the bank. Trying to blame it on the pumpkin run. All sort of bullshit. You didn't build this channel on your own, buddy. At least I can say I built both my channels pretty much on my own, buddy. I never needed anybody to shout me out, buddy. You do. You know why that's Barry? Because nobody wants to watch your shit, bro. People see you for what you are. A waste of fucking space. A dreamer that will let these cars rot into the ground and kill more history than he'll keep alive. You're a fossil.
son, both of us. He said, "Get a gun and shoot the bastard." Yeah, yeah, his own son. Of course, we found out.
See what Barry's doing because Barry knows the real story of Matt's dad, not Barry's dad, Matt's biological father, Ronald L. Beamer, telling Matt to go have his Barry arrested. Understand this, Barry's dad did not like Barry. Barry's dad was disappointed in Barry. Understand that. Barry never once lived up to this man's expectations in life. Buddy. Barry Beamer, that name is a stain on his legacy, on his name. That name is a stain. Never once did you live up to that man's expectations. You mooched off him and his wife, aka your mother and father, till the day they died. Now you mooch off his son, sorry, his grandson, but son because he raised him, and now you mooch off him till the day you die. Never once have you stood on your own and been a fucking adult. Not once in your life have you been a fucking adult. You are a 63-year-old man child. You've always been a man child. The only difference is, buddy, ready for this? I want you to understand this. We know that your mother, how she'd really feel about you now. Boy, I wish she was still alive, Barry. Wish she was, buddy. Because I would love to show her all this proof. Her son being friends with a pedophile, a registered, lifetime registered sex offender, talking about he's a reformed pedophile. He did his time. And then show her Mr. Scott Wilson, which I'm sure she would already known, but that you were friends with. That the only thing you cared about in the conversation wasn't the child which Scott Wilson killed. It was that he didn't go to prison for what he'd done to that poor child. You know, and I know how your mother would view you after that, buddy. But don't worry. She's up there. You're right. She's looking down on you. And then if I was to show her them young girl things and what you were saying, who you were looking at, buddy, food for thought,
You
Barry.
know, and they didn't talk about it. Mom, dad didn't talk about it, but it was the same mom that I had, with my brother, but it was a different dad. His dad was
Let's talk about your other brother. Let's talk about Randy, Barry. Let's talk about good old Randy fucking Beamer, bro. You know what? You know what he thinks of you, Barry? Same thing your mom would think of you. Would he support you being friends with a pedophile? Would he support you at 63 liking the things you like? Would he support you being friends with a fucking registered sex offender? Would he support you being friends with a fucking baby killer? Would he support any of these things? I think not, because when I looked him up, he was a coach, a football coach, and teacher. Had kids of his own, which fixing eventually to reach out to his son and his daughter. Or I think he only got a son. I don't know. I'm gonna find out exactly how many kids. I'm gonna reach out to him because I'm sure they have kids and they have a right to know who their fucking piece of shit uncle really is.
Glenn Hoffmeister. And I remember as a kid growing up,
Listen to
this
this.
guy started coming around. And I didn't ask anything, I just, mom and dad or mom and dad. I didn't ask what was going on. And what it was, mom and dad weren't getting along. So they had separate, you know, open relationships. They had separate relationships while they were still married. So mom started hooking up with this guy called Glenn Hoffmeister. And when Matt was born, Glenn Hoffmeister was gone. I mean, he was out of there. He didn't see him anymore.
None of this is true, you guys. This is all a way to try to get a jab in at his brother because he can't beat him any other way. I mean, Matt's successful, Barry's not. Matt has a family and raised his family and has kids. Who? Let's talk about that. Barry has a video where he attacks Matt's son, and Matt's son is heavily autistic, heavily disabled, calling him names and shit. They don't even know that Barry exists because Matt knew what kind of person Barry is and kept them away from Barry. You think he met him once? But he's a good dude. Right now, he's calling his dead mother a whore. And I'm holding back words because I really want to say some things that I know would get me banned off fucking YouTube right now. Because I don't know his mom. I never met his mom, never talked to his mom. But everything I've read, whether it be her obituary and things like that, she was not this. She was not this. And I'm gonna prove that.
And I remember when I was about 9, 8, 9 years old, he was coming around. and he would pick me and my sister up and take us around in this cool Model A Ford he had with a rumble seat in it. And I used to like to sit in the back of it because I never sat in a car with a rumble seat. And it went maybe
And you never have. This is just a made up story.
30 mile an hour top speed. It was, kind of rough riding, but I mean, it was a Model A. It was cool, and I thought the guy was cool. I didn't realize he was fucking my mother, you know.
He was fucking my mother. Who would use that word towards your mother? You think your mom approves of this? But Barry, do you think your mom approves of this video? I mean, you like to say she's looking down on you. Do you think she approves of this video and all of the things you've called her in this video? Think your dad is approving? You think good old Randy Beamer, who tragically died of cancer, approves of what you're saying about his mother?
I didn't. No one ever told me that. I had to figure that out on my own.
Nobody ever told him that. He just, in his psychotic bliss, figured it out. Not like he walked in on his mom getting pile drived or nothing. Nothing like that. But he knows. He just knows.
But I do remember mom telling me many times that dad was rude to women. And, well, it was true. He was rude to mom. Other women he wasn't rude to. But to mom, he was. He was rude to her. And, I don't know how many times that my older brother, Randy, had to break up fights between them and get in the middle of it.
Every relationship you're having disagreements. This is again not true. This is all just bullshit. A way to jab. This is a made up fucking fairy tale made up in his head. Look, I would never say what you're saying about your father, about my father and my grandfather. And neither one of them are fucking saints. They both did things bad. They both have done. My grandfather was a fucking male. He was a good looking man. He knew he was good looking when he was younger, and he got what he screwed around. Yeah, I'm not gonna. My grandparents will tell you. My grandma especially, even my dad will tell you. My grandfather to me is a fucking saint. He can't do no wrong. He's up here. And man, that's just my ignorant fucking bliss. But I will defend him even if he's wrong. I will defend him. That's love. That's I don't give a fuck. I got your back. Same with dad. Same with my grandma. Same with my aunt. Same with my cousin. Same with my sister. Same with my brother-in-law. If I care about you in a way, then I got your back. I would never. It wouldn't matter how if my sister ever did anything like Barry's trying to spew here, which again isn't true. But if my sister did change the will and all this other bull, not there's a fucking will because there's nothing to be had. I would never do this to her. I would never do this to her. I wouldn't be able to let these words leave my mouth. That's my sister. I don't get how Barry don't have love for these people. Like these people you were raised with. You should have more love for these people than you do hate. But when you don't know loyalty, when you don't know the first fucking thing about loyalty, and you're just a pure emotional fucking bitch that works on pure emotions, you're gonna attack people like this because that's all he does. That's all he's got. Otherwise, if Barry had to look in the mirror and accept reality, Barry would fucking face fuck that shotgun that he's got in the corner. Let's be real. Because in order to wake up and be Barry and wake up and know that what you've done wrong, you would have to look in the mirror and go, man, I wasted 63 years, did absolutely nothing with my life, have 86 pounds of junk that I'll never fix. I fucking have made my mom look horrible. Someone that had my back no matter what. I made her look like a whore. I made her look like a slut. I made my father, my the man that raised me, look so bad. I know that when I die, dude, my life is not gonna look good. that I have one hell of an ass whooping coming from my dad and my brother. He couldn't do it. Barry can't do it. Barry and Richard are that's what type of, they can't accept reality on reality its terms, because if they did, they would fucking, he would face fuck that shotgun. I'm telling you.
And of course, defended mom. And then when he passed away, the torch was passed to me, and I defended mom, and I didn't know any of that, you know, in those days. I knew that this guy was around. I was only a kid, maybe 8, 9 years old. I didn't really understand.
Can't listen to more of that. It pisses me off. Like beyond belief, it pisses me off. But let's talk about good old mom, good old Joanne Beamer. This is Barry's mom. This is her obituary. And I'm not going to read this full thing, but she did a lot in her life. A lot. But what I do want to talk about is Barry's dad and her. She is survived by her husband, Ronald L. Beamer, whom she has been married to since 1956. They were married August 18th of 1956. They even put Barry in the obituary, which I wouldn't have done. Grandchildren, a Ryan Beamer, a, a Brandon E. Beamer, a Betty Lynn Beamer, a Justin something, a Megan. They had multiple grandkids. So why did Ryan get anything? But that ain't what I'm here to talk about. I'm here to talk about Joanne, mother, school teacher. From what I've read and seen and from what I've heard, was an awesome woman, was a good woman, who Barry just constantly drags through the mud. She died July 3rd of 2018. She was born in 1934. I bet she had some cool. I bet, for real, she lived through like World War II and things. I bet she had some cool stories. Like I love talking to people from the 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, because that's how you learn things. Like you listen to the old timers that actually have knowledge, not Barry, not Rich. Because gray hair does not mean you have knowledge. Gray hair does not mean you have wisdom. It just means you've lived. But they had been married since 1956 to 2018. Over what? What would that be? 60 years together. If he was such a bad dude, why wouldn't mom divorce him? But let's go to Ronald L. Beamer, Barry's father's obituary, shall we? And again, Ronald L. Beamer, again, from what I understand, an amazing man. He worshipped the ground this woman walked on. She didn't want for anything. Here's Ronald L. Beamer's obituary. You can find this at findagrave.com. Ronald L. Beamer died December 29th, 2020, age of 87. Not even, what would that be? A little over a year, a little over a year probably between his wife. So he was fine for all that time before, but the minute his wife died, he expired a year later. This man grieved himself to death. This man loved his wife. I have no doubt they had problems, as every marriage do, especially when you're married that damn long. Understand this, it's not what Barry says. These two people loved each other. Most people will never have that long of a marriage. Most people will never know the love these two people know, especially you, Barry. You couldn't even keep a woman for more than a year. Even Ryan's mom didn't want you nor Ryan. But you know who did? This woman here. Ryan, do you know this woman here didn't have to raise you? Do you know it wasn't her responsibility to raise you as her own, take care of your medical bills, everything you've ever wanted? Do you know neither her nor him owed you that? But you will let your dad get on here and fucking talk about you calling your mother. This woman was your mother. Barry and your biological mother are your sperm donors, buddy, and your egg donor. This woman was your mother. This woman, you owe so much loyalty towards. Do you though? No, because you're a waste of space, a coward with no backbone. And don't worry, Ryan, they see you too. Understand, they're just as ashamed of you as they're your dad. I'm sure Ronald L. Beamer didn't raise you to not have a fucking backbone. So next time Barry goes on here and talks about how bad his mom and dad's relationship, understands they were married since 1956, never split up, never divorced, and he died a year after his wife. They had their problems. I'm not gonna say they didn't, but I can promise he wasn't beating her ass. He wasn't fucking. He wasn't out stepping around cheating on her. These are lies. These are fabrications to make his jab at his brother, but also it makes these two people look bad, who are not here to defend themselves. He grieved himself to death because his the love of his life, the woman he had been with for 60 fucking years, was gone. I want to end on something, Barry. I want to end this video on something. What kind of fucking loser it makes up a lie, but also in that lie damages his mom and dad's relationship, the 60 years they were together, and the love that those two had. What did you achieve out of it? Do you think it really hurts Matt? Because I talked to Matt. Matt's not hurt by any of this. The only two people you hurt was the one woman in your life that should have gave up on you that never did, your mother. And she knew you were a lost cause because you are a lost cause. You've always been a lost cause. You're incapable of change. No good man would do this. My mom, and I'm gonna talk from my experience. My mom, dude, was the fucking best mom in the world, and every son says that. It's okay to feel that. I would never say this about her. And if I did, my dad should he should come in here and kick my teeth out of my head. What's left of my teeth? I would never do this. I have a hard time not talking about my mom without crying because I miss her to this day. But when you talk about her, you don't tear up. And if you truly, and I can speak for this because I went through this, understand losing a parent, losing your mother, your father, it doesn't get any easier. That pain doesn't go away. If you truly cared about them, then you're gonna feel sadness when you talk about them. That pain doesn't go away. That pain doesn't subside, but you learn to live with the pain. Go watch any video where Barry talks about his mom, even right after his mom died. Go watch any video. You won't find one video of Barry tearing up and crying about his mom. In fact, he'll be talking about his mom dying, laughing and making jokes. Not about his mom's death, but he'll be talking about his mom one sitting and talking about making a joke about something else in the next. That's not how somebody truly cares about their mother acts. And Ryan, I know that you watch every single video. I know you scan them before you let your dad see them. You're a coward. You're a fucking coward. No backbone having bitch. You're a bigger bitch than your dad. Because you let your father talk about this woman like that. How is that some dude that didn't even know your mom, Joanne Beamer, and your dad, Ronald L. Beamer, takes up for him, but somebody like you, who was raised by these people, they paid for your medicine because of your fucking asthma and your bullshit. They took care of you. When you had your first breakup, they were there. When you fucking needed this, they were there. When you wanted to be taught how to ride a bike, they were there. Buddy, but yet you are such a coward. You can't even stand up for these people to stand up to your dad because you're a wuss. You're a wussy. You're a no backbone loser. That's why you don't have a woman. That's why you'll never have a woman because you're a fucking loser. Grow a backbone, you fucking twig, and stand up to your dad once and for all. Sorry, your sperm donor, which is what he'll be addressed from now on when I talk about him. Your sperm donor. Sorry, you guys. Till next time, check out my friends Twisted Mopar Garage, Mako, Fasting, Lipstick Garage, Busted Rail Garage, Two Axe Garage, um, You Dizzy, fucking Jinx, Still Scrapper Kingdom. Check out Battery Productions. Check out John Wilbur. Check out all my friends on here. Check out my man channel, Poor Man Speed Shop. And Barry, you're a piece of shit. And this proves how much your father actually loves your mother.